all been in that situation before where we are decluttering and trying to become more minimal, live clutter-free, but for some reason, we are just not getting there. I want to share with you 10 things not to do when becoming more minimal. Don't let the feeling of not being minimal enough slow down your decluttering journey and your decluttering process. Let me tell you a story. When we first started to declutter and try to get on that journey of becoming minimalist, I said, not only do I want to declutter, I want to become minimalist. It took a long time. It was like peeling an onion. I would declutter my home. I would take all these items to the donation location and I'd come back and say, why don't I feel like there's a huge difference in my home yet? And it turned out that it just takes time. It was about 6 months of slowly decluttering and going through my things before I started to see a huge difference in my home and starting to feel like we were actually living with less and with less clutter in our home. At the time, I had no idea that I was decluttering slowly. I actually thought I was decluttering quickly and getting rid of quite a lot of stuff, but it turned out that I was just peeling those layers off one by one. They say that you have a decluttering muscle that gets stronger with the more you do it. The more I decluttered, the easier it became to get rid of more things. And I also started to look at it all a little differently. Instead of just getting rid of those items that I never use, I was actually digging into some of the items that we did use once in a while, but we didn't need duplicates of. Definitely do not feel discouraged if your home is not looking 100% clutter-free with just the first session of decluttering. Don't worry about the numbers. There are minimalists out there that love to count how many things they have, 30 pieces of clothing or 10 dishes for 10 people in their family. Don't worry about that. Just make it work for you and your family or whatever situation you are in. I personally never count anything. I just don't care. I look at how our home is functioning. If I see there are things we're never using or we have too many of one item, that's when I declutter those things. So definitely don't feel like you can't be minimalist if you have several of one item. I've also realized as time has gone on, living with a family, we have 3 children, and it ebbs and flows. There are times where we have way less, and then there are times where we have a little bit more. And it just depends on what season of life we are currently in. Don't feel rushed when trying to become more minimal and declutter. It can feel like a race sometimes when you see these videos or articles about extreme declutter, got rid of 90% of my wardrobe. That is great if you can do that. But if it takes a little bit of time, that is still progress. I think progress over perfection is what we're all aiming for. And I've been helping my mom and dad declutter for the last probably 3 years now, maybe more. And it's just been a real process. We go in and we pull things out of a certain area, and maybe she only wants to let go of 1 or 2 items, and that's great. We put everything back. She's still letting go. It's still progress. And then we might come back to that same area or even a different area that she's gotten rid of a few things, and then we'll just peel back another layer of that onion. We'll get rid of a few more items, and again, it's still progress. We're still transforming her home from being more cluttered to less cluttered. And of course, not everyone wants to become minimalist. My mom in no way wants to become minimalist, but my mom has shared with me that she definitely feels great when we get rid of the things that she felt she had to hold on to and she really didn't need. This is a really important one, and I feel like it can apply to everything in life, not just becoming minimalist, but try not to compare your journey to someone else's journey. I know in the beginning when I started decluttering and wanting to become more minimal, I would see these beautiful pictures on Instagram, on Pinterest, and even videos here on YouTube of homes that were very airy and a lot of white furniture. It looked beautiful. It looked like so much fun. These minimalists were traveling around the world, and that was their journey. That was not my journey. My journey is with a family, and it's just completely different. So I try not to compare myself to others online or in real life. Don't get upset or give up if you buy something that doesn't work out. One of the reasons why I became more minimal and wanted to get rid of the things we no longer need and also buy way less was because I wanted to be more eco-friendly. I also just wanted to get rid of that process of buying something, getting rid of it, buying something, getting rid of it. And of course that's going to happen through the years, but don't get upset if you buy something and it just doesn't work out. I had bought a bamboo drying rack for my dishes, and I thought that would be great, more environmentally friendly because it's made out of bamboo, and I thought it would really solve the dishes situation in our house, and guess what? It didn't. The bamboo rack actually became moldy over time. It did not hold enough dishes to really make any kind of difference at all. And that's when I realized it wasn't gonna work for our family. I let it go. But it kind of reminds me of when you're on a diet and you're trying not to eat certain things and then you eat one cupcake. I've done this so many times. You eat one cupcake or one snack that I feel I shouldn't have eaten, and then I think, oh, the whole diet is over. I've ruined my diet. I'm just gonna go back to eating junk all the time. So don't let that one thing derail all the progress that you've made with decluttering and becoming more minimal. Don't feel as if you have to be a certain type of minimalist. We're all different. We can all have our own type. There can be millions of different types of minimalists, but I fell into that trap of thinking, oh, when we're minimalists, we need to live in a really tiny home, or we need to live in a van, or we need to travel more. All these different things that just were completely untrue. I can just live with less as my normal life and reap the benefits of that. So don't feel as if you have to fit into some sort of certain category or type of minimalist, like an eco-minimalist or a minimalist aesthetic. You can just do whatever you want. I thought when we first became minimalist and started decluttering, my home needed to look perfect 100% of the time. Clean, everything put away. It needed to be bright, light, have the perfect furniture, everything matching. And this was just so untrue. I've seen so many minimalists, I can link some channels below, where their home is with secondhand furniture like my home is, and maybe the furniture is very used or worn in, and that's how we live. I don't feel as if you have to run out and buy the latest, greatest minimalist things to become minimalist or look minimalist. Also, I think there is this idea that your home has to always be in pristine condition because if someone comes over at the last second, your home needs to be in perfect order. And again, I don't think that's real life. Our home, 90% of the time, is used. It looks like people live here, and we can still call ourselves minimalist if we have stuff on our table throughout the day. Your home does not have to be perfect all the time. If you're struggling to declutter, don't think that minimalism is only about the things in our lives, the things in our home. It can be just as much about simplifying your schedule and everything you do in your life. If you're extremely stressed out and overscheduling yourself, you can simplify that, as well as simplifying your finances. If you have a lot of debt, it could be working through all of that. Also, just simplifying how many accounts you have and how you pay your bills. All of that. Minimalism doesn't have to just be about stuff. In our society, especially the American society, which is where I live, and I live in Southern California, it seems like the trend or what most people are doing all the time is being busy. Busy all the time, multitasking all the time, with little to no downtime where you just sit out in nature and do nothing and relax. For me, minimalism was also about simplifying my schedule, having downtime, really spending more time outside. There are times in our lives where we are more busy and there are times where we are less busy. And I think that's just how it goes. It's the seasons of life that we're in. They're changing all the time. Simplifying and becoming more minimal with my schedule and everything that I do in life has been a real game changer. And to me, it's just as much about minimalism and becoming minimal as it is to declutter stuff in our homes. When I first said, I'm going to start decluttering and I'm getting rid of all this stuff we don't need, my mom was shocked. She said, why are you getting rid of that? Why are you getting rid of that? Everything in my home, she said I should keep. And she knows this. I've discussed this with her before, and it's kind of a joke that we have at how stressed out she was when I started saying, I'm getting rid of that extra strainer that we have. And she said, well, you could use that for kids' projects and this and that. And I said, but we don't use it for kids' projects and we don't use it for anything. So I'm gonna declutter it. And I know that really stressed her out to know that I was getting rid of all these things. Maybe 6 months into my decluttering transformation journey, she came into my home and she said, and we joke about this, so I'm sure she's fine if I say it, but she said, I just don't like this. Your home is just too bare, too boring, that I was happy with this. I liked the fact that everything was very clear and clean in my kitchen. It gave me more room for when I wanna head in there and start, cooking something or doing a project in there. So it took a little bit of adjustment for my mom to come around, and now she has been decluttering with me. I just wanna say that if everyone doesn't fully understand what you're doing, that is okay. It's okay to not care what anybody else thinks and just go on with what you want to do. And especially if that's becoming more minimal and decluttering, I say more power to you and do exactly what you want to do with your life. I hope this video was encouraging and inspiring. Hit the subscribe button to join my channel and click right here to see more videos.